Welcome to another session during the SuperOps and glad you're joining us today. We've got a really special guest, at least to me. We've got Giovanni Sanguily, who's joining us. Giovanni is with TRIdigital, and I remember him when he was still with MSP University, out there teaching people how to start and run a successful MSP in the Wild West days around 2005, was it? We've known each other that long? Certainly one of the veterans of the industry. He's made every possible mistake there is, so I think he's going to have some great lessons to learn today. Instead of a slide deck, we thought we'd do a little bit more of a personable conversation so we can kind of just bounce around on the different topics that you wanted to cover under scale and operations. So welcome to the SuperOps Summit, Giovanni.
Thank you for having me, Mark. And yeah, it's been 17 years, man.
Oh my goodness.
We've known each other longer than I've been married. How's that?
It's a while.
Yeah.
So what did you want to talk about? And well, before you get into the topic, tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing as a company right now, and personally and professionally.
Yeah, I mean, TRIdigital, we're still creating, unique experiences. That's what I like to say. We're a creative agency for the industry that needs it. Everything's commoditized. Most MSPs do exactly the same thing: remote monitoring management, help desk, and their suite of services may differ, but at the end of the day, there's only so many vendors. So a lot of saturation, a lot of difficulty differentiating themselves. So we take pride in doing really creative experiences to highlight their brand and focus on the things that do make them different, which is people, passion, culture, process. All that stuff is the IP that comes from the individuals running those companies. That's really good. And then we've been really growing our software, Glasshive, which we're working to be a work OS for MSPs. A lot of real great sales and marketing automation and visibility, and just a really modern platform that I think the industry needs to improve on sales and marketing. It's a big issue.
I will speak firsthand. I have seen and used Glasshive as well as the TRIdigital content, and I'm one of your biggest fans. You guys are doing something amazing in this space that's very much needed. And if anybody out there needs some help on the marketing side, I couldn't recommend more in giving Glasshive a look and giving you a call. But so tell us about scaling operations. What's the biggest challenges that MSPs are facing in scaling operation? I mean, there's a lot, because most MSPs are unfortunately run by engineers from the startup. I was one of those, and some of the business tools that they need to have or experience they don't necessarily come with. How does it impact them, and what do you suggest?
Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question, but I'll touch on a variety of aspects that I think we can address. I talk to clients all the time. The key thing is, either if you're great and you're growing and there's referrals, and it's you get bottlenecks in onboarding customers, how many you can onboard. That also ties directly into, it's hard to find staff. It's hard to find good engineers, good technicians. They struggle a lot with that, and then you got the whole wave of clients using new softwares, whether it's Office 365 and all the suite of things that they have, and how to migrate they're using from Zoom to Teams or whatever it is. So there's an adoption process to whatever's already been implemented once they've been onboarded. All those kinds of things equate to serious bottlenecks when it comes to operations, So, one of the things I think that's always underestimated when it comes to scaling is how you scale your communication. And that's going to affect all these things I'm talking about, whether you're trying to find better staff, whether you're trying to onboard customers in a more streamlined, standardized fashion with a uniform experience across the board, whether you're trying to help customers adopt the solutions that they've invested in, and going into QBRs even too, a little bit, just, automating that process. A lot of things we focus, every PSA has the mantra right now of automation. Their workflow automation on the tactical side of things is super important, because it creates our ability to meet SLAs and do things with a higher billable rate or higher margin. But we often don't think of leveraging automation to do the proactive pieces of communication, right? And when I mean communication, I'm talking about everything. Marketing to me is only communication. You can, if you want to communicate to people that don't know you in order for them to become a customer, right? You can automate that. You can create, there's a lot of marketing automation tools that you can use, additional things and campaigns to reach out to those folks and make them aware of who you are and what you have to offer and what your service capabilities are and testimonials and all that stuff. But you could also communicate to your existing staff to help them understand new processes, implement new ideas, standards around how we're going to support customers, and getting everybody on the same page. Internal communication, you can create marketing, create really good communication for that too. You want to go ahead and onboard brand new customers? Why not define an experience of communication that's automated, proactively sending to them, letting them know the entire onboarding experience? Hey, if you're a brand new customer, hey, Mr. Customer, thank you so much for signing up with us and letting us take care of your technology needs. This is an overview video. I'm going to give you an idea of what to expect throughout the engagement so that we're always in sync and always in the loop. When you first get started, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and it can seem like, hey, where's my project at? So our goal with these weekly touches, again, being automated, is to help you understand where you're at in the process and what to expect so that the process can be seamless and stress-free for you. You can create a whole series of that and define the customer experience of a new customer for a year if you want to. And that gets never tired of doing it the perfect way. Written communication done well, that's designed, or video communication never gets tired of doing it perfectly. Depending on how I feel, trying to do this on a day where I've had a troubled night's sleep or whatnot, this session I'm doing with you can differ today than it is tomorrow if I have less energy. But if you get it all down and document it, like you're doing it now, the recording, it'll always present it this fashion. So like I said, a lot of the communication, what happens when a customer is onboarded, then you got to think about going after new staff, right? Or trying to acquire new talent. That also takes communication too. You got to communicate out to the world, right? That you're a growing tech firm and that you are a growing MSP and you have a great opportunity, a great culture, and you want to attract the best talent. Well, you got to let them know the talent out there that you're hiring and what you're all about. And it's funny to me, man. It's like you look at a bunch of MSPs, they have this careers page that's nothing more than like, hey, here's our job openings, here's a little bit of perks, and then they have the little recs that are open. Or worse, they do it through LinkedIn. There's something wrong with that, but it's a very dry thing that is not really different. And I take a look at, some of these partners' websites, the level of effort they put towards their homepage and making that look great versus their careers page, but they're having trouble finding talent, right? It's like, you got to be able to create an experience and emphasize to communicate in the best of your ability to the available talent that you're better than anybody anywhere else are going to work. And I would put a lot of time and attention into that.
What are some of the other areas like that? Because you bring up a good point. I think of the different things that you can communicate out, and things I've seen MSPs communicating out to the industry. New hires, they just did a press release yesterday on me being here and what my vision is for the first year, which I thought was a good tactical move. So new hires, community involvement, participating in charity events and stuff like that, new vendor relationships. What else should an MSP say, hey, these are things we want to have a programmatic approach to communicating out to our customer base?
Well, out to the customer base, number one, you want them, you want to always be able to communicate vision to your existing customers. They need to be able to understand that you're on the cutting edge. You're always thinking of new and better things, especially now cybersecurity is a really big thing. You got to stay ahead of the trends and your vision of where you see the technology landscape for B2B, and that you're constantly working on innovation, R&D, investments, time, staff, to create expertise to be able to proactively evolve their infrastructure to always be a modern, scalable, flexible, and secure business. Okay. I like, considering with COVID and everything else that's going on, I really like the RISE acronym. It's one that I made for a couple customers, but we all want to rise up again and be strong and get a strong economy, right? So, resilience is a big one. It's the R. Being integrated. I think that's really important for people to understand how to integrate the tools, workflows, and everything that they have to maximize the mesh of their infrastructure, if you will. The S is for secure. Secure goes without saying. You have to be secure in today's modern landscape. You have remote employees, you have employees on staff, you have this hybrid environment, and you got to be able to account for all those things for your customers. And the last one's evolving. You always got to be evolving. Like I said, you always got to be a step ahead of the innovation curve, and they got to be able to trust you through that. You're going to guide them through the weeds, and they wouldn't have to worry about always having a modern, flexible business.
That's great. I think of the importance of it. It would make sense that when an MSP brings a customer on and the customer is going from a break fix model or even a block hour model, they're used to seeing, Tony show up every Tuesday for 4 hours to fix the printers and add users and stuff. They go to an MSP model and they do automate. They automate the patch management. They automate the remediation. They automate so many things. But what I think becomes the disconnect between them and the customer is the distance of communication after they bring the customer on, because they don't see them anymore. There's not Tony showing up every Tuesday. It's just an update on the computer pops up that says your computer has been rebooted.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you can do, right? So this is really interesting. This is why I think it makes sense for everybody to invest a little bit of money into getting some video equipment for their office. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Your phones can do so much. The newest phones have incredible cameras, but a little bit of lighting, a place in the office is nice to shoot from. Most people or most end user customers do not understand or correlate the investments you've made in your infrastructure as an MSP to manage their environment better than they ever could. And I don't care how big they are. At some point they're super massive and they probably have something better, but even internal IT departments, okay, they don't have a full NOC set up, with, tiered support and the visibility that we have with all the gauges and all the stuff to be able to manage their investment. Some people have invested between time, talent, staff, and technology, millions of dollars into their network operation, right? And their monitoring to be able to provide support they can't replicate on their own, right? So oftentimes I see so many, and it's even harder nowadays with COVID, MSPs showcasing their infrastructure, their people, their office as part of the sales engagement. But you can do it post-sales. You can have an area in your office, okay, where after the sale, like I said, we talked about the customer experience, what the onboarding process is like. Give them a tour. Hey, you signed up with us. Let me give you an idea of how, when you create a support ticket, how that's going to run through our office. They can film their network operations center. I said, first, we got everything going in through these monitors that are watching everything in your infrastructure. A ticket lands here. You're the first tier of defense are going to try to solve it before you even know about it. This is our proactive patch management support. If there's an issue that is more difficult, it needs more specific expertise like security, that'll move up our support chain into a security expert that'll resolve it. You can film that in a very 5-minute, short, palatable way on video, and they can actually see the breadth and the infrastructure and everything they've invested in, right? It's a really big one. The other thing too is, what you don't say. So here's a real quick, easy way. If you want to scale and grow and cross-sell your customers more, that has worked 100% of the time, and I've implemented over with 100 customers, okay? So when you sign up your customer, either install a monitor, get a 55-inch LED, or if they have one in their office, that's fine, and put the customer instance of BrightGauge right on there. For, if you guys are using BrightGauge to manage all the different KPIs and different network components within their office, the test of the backups, systems without antivirus, whatnot, put that all, and then the number of tickets you're closing in their customer view that's on a monitor every day. I call it visibility as a service. They don't need to ask you what's going on. They get a real-time view into your operations if they were to work there. And that's an extension you want to give. And again, it's something small that to unbolt you, they'd have to unbolt that system. But who wants to let go of visibility once they have it, right? So, yeah.
We've talked about the importance, that's great feedback, of having a communications plan, activities and strategy for the purpose of scaling your operations. If you're not talking to your customers, somebody else is, right? And by nature, you're going to become less visible as an MSP. You're going to be more effective, but the customers don't necessarily know that if you're not over communicating it. So some of the steps you outlined: get yourself a basic video set up, create a video tour that you can publish to each new customer, create a list of things that you can communicate out to your customers, either on a reactive, like a new hire, or on a regular cadence, such as what's new in the world, industry trends and visions. Those are great. And then execute on it. Spend some time and effort on making sure you put together a good persona on a regular basis. That's phenomenal. Did I miss anything?
No. The couple other things you can do, because you want to get in the habit of getting everybody's responsible for communication. So another thing you can do is there's a lot of tier 1 noise tickets that come in from users that eat up a lot of operational time. And there's some workflow automations that can fix that, but there's some that aren't, which comes to training people. For example, how to add a printer to the network, that's a common one. And that's really self-service. So a lot of these smaller tickets, a lot of these questions around Outlook or Teams or just a bunch of these minor things, you could have a member of your staff, and I would circulate them. I wouldn't use one person because you want to look bigger. Get them a company polo, get them in front of the camera, and literally do a screen share session on exactly how to install a network printer. Okay. There's a software called Loom or Soapbox. They're very, very inexpensive. Some are like $5 a month. You can create these experiences and send them out to your customers. A company does a really great job on the high end of things. If you look at a company called TechMD, they have something called 1 Minute Wednesdays, and it's really good. They circulate a new person every week. And they'll go in there and do something like that, explain how to install a network printer. And these type of things let them know. When you're seeing them in series and you see the page full of them, they're like, my God, look at how many tech experts that are here that are just providing a lot of value for me. And again, training the end user on how to do a lot of self-service items will definitely help keep the help desk quiet and help you scale quite a bit more. And again, those types live in forever and perpetuity. Also, really good assets to use in your workflow automations in your PSA, so that when you get those type of tickets, you can automatically respond with the answer, and it be a professional answer with a human being that works at the organization that can help them through it.
Excellent. Well, Giovanni, I think we're almost out of time here. I appreciate you taking some of your time to share with us your insights on how to scale your operations, better communication, giving us some really good practical stuff I'm already thinking about how SuperOps can incorporate into what we do and take advantage of. And I appreciate everybody watching this for taking some time out to learn and work on your business and not just in your business. We all know how critical that is. Any last parting thoughts or comments for us, Gio?
No. Well, I could give you one more thing.
Okay.
When it comes to, again, scaling out, a big part of growing and scaling is your ability to get your customers cross-sold on what you're selling. If you were to look at, everybody wants to go after net new customers, but if you were to execute a client solutions roadmap, very simple exercise. There's software that does it, Glasshive does it, but you can do it on an Excel sheet. Every service you have across the top row, every customer you have on the first column. Green dot if they have the solution, red dot if they don't. Dollarize all the red and you'll realize there's millions of dollars sitting in your existing customer account. Those are the folks you want to practice your communication on. They'll be the most forgiving. They already know you. They give you the best feedback to perfect it before you take it out to the white space area. So with that, I also want you to incorporate communication on always exit strategy for your customers. Talk a lot about that in the role technology plays. Everybody's thinking about it, whether they want to pass it on to a family member, whether they want to sell and acquire, whether they want to be the person acquiring other folks that are in their exit strategy. you have to be able to express to them the investments in technology and the difference it can make at their multiple at time of exit, and just the valuation of their company overall. Data migration, client migration, people migration is a big thing that hinders your sale price. And if you get the customers thinking the end game, you want to say, if you want to go for the highest multiple, you really want a flexible technology environment that's backed up and secure. And these things can really help you get a lot more at the end. They'll want to talk to you about that and the path on how to get there. So please leverage that if you guys really want to grow and really turn around some revenue really quickly.
That was a great encore. Appreciate it. And with that, we'll wrap it up. If you want to learn more about Glasshive, it's glasshive.com. Am I getting the right extension on that?
Yep.
And certainly a lot there to learn about. And that's it for this edition of SuperOps at the SuperSummit. Thank you all for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.